So in this revision series, we will cover winding up by the tribunal under the Companies Act 2013. Whether you are from old syllabus or you are from new syllabus, I would expect one question, at least one question in the old syllabus, and there can be more than one question when it comes to the new syllabus with respect to this particular chapter. Old syllabus students understand this question can come in your part A also with respect to winding up. For old syllabus, it will only be part of your part B. For old syllabus, it can be in your part A, it can be in your part C. So what all things you have to cover in winding up, I'm just going to discuss that in this particular video. Apart from that, you can just leave it for the exam perspective. So the first question which I feel can be asked, though there is a priority, I mean, this is the least priority of this question being asked in the exam, but still you never know, this question can come. It is, what is the difference between the winding up and the dissolution? You need to understand that winding up is the first step and dissolution is the final end of the company. Okay, so this is the step one, and dissolution of the company, this is the last step. So one is this question which you need to know, and the main purpose again of winding up is to realize the assets, right? So the liquidator would be appointed who is going to realize the assets, and then that liquidator is going to use that money to pay all the debts of the company as soon as possible. If there is any surplus left, that would be distributed amongst the members of the company, first to the preference shareholders and then to the equity shareholders. Once all the debts are being repaid, or let's say whatever amount was realized has got exhausted, after that the same liquidator would go to the tribunal and would file the petition for the dissolution, and thereafter the NCLT is going to file the final order, which is the dissolution of the company. So after winding up order, it doesn't mean that the company is now gone, or the company is no longer, or the company ceases to exist. The company still continues to be in existence. It's only after the dissolution order the company ceases to exist. So the term dissolution and winding up and dissolutions are sometimes used erroneously, sometimes erroneously used to mean the same thing, but the legal implications are different. So you can get a comment question on this. So in that case, just explain that what is the winding up process. So overall, if you see the winding up process, it goes something like this, that you will have step one, that the petition for winding up would be filed. Right, and this will be filed at the NCLT. Thereafter, the petition will be accepted and the liquidator will be appointed. Okay. After that, the liquidator will take charge over the company, and the liquidator is going to realize all assets, or they use the word properties, the assets and the properties of the company. Then step 4, the amount would be utilized to pay off the debts. And then step 5, the final report will be filed to the tribunal. Okay, final report to be filed by the liquidator to the tribunal. Okay, and that's where the NCLT is going to pass the dissolution order, and this dissolution order is the final end of the company, the legal death of the company, and thereafter the NCLT order will be filed to ROC. Okay, this is going to be filed to ROC, where ROC is going to remove the name of the company from the register of companies. So this is one question I feel that it can be asked, but though I still feel that there is a very less probability that they may ask you this particular question. Old syllabus, definitely there is a chance, and the chances of this question being asked in part A is far more as compared to in part C. However, for new syllabus students, I feel in part B they may ask you this question for 3 marks in the comment section, right? So this is one of the probable question that can be asked in the exam. So the entire procedure for bringing the lawful end to the life of the company is divided into two stages. One is the winding up, another is the dissolution. Winding up is the first stage, and the dissolution is the final stage. So I think you can now write the answer for this particular question, even if it is asked for 3 marks or for 5 marks. So just reduce or expand your content accordingly, and you can write those steps also. Okay. Then the second question which can be asked, again this I am telling from the new syllabus point of view, that there can be a question with respect to the voluntary winding up. Not that it cannot be asked in in old syllabus. Even in old syllabus they can ask you this question, but in new syllabus I think the chances are little more because of the marks weightage. So important. So this we have already covered when we did IBC 304 to 323 in the previous, prior to the insolvency bankruptcy code. Though these sections never got notified, but after IBC these sections got omitted, and now you have just section 59. If you cannot remember section 304 to 323, just remember that the provisions with respect to voluntary winding up was dealt in the Companies Act prior to IBC, though the provisions never got notified. However, after IBC got notified, now the voluntary winding up is covered under section 59 of IBC only, right? And then depending upon whether it's a question of section 59 or it's just a comment question with respect to the voluntary winding up and its jurisdiction, you can expand your answer. Then there is another question which can be asked, and it has been asked in the old syllabus, and that too it was asked in part A, that inability to pay the debts. So I feel this is again an important question, that inability to pay the debts was one of the reason why a company could have been wound up, okay, or the petition for winding up could have been filed. But now pursuant to IBC, this particular provision has been deleted, and inability to pay the debts is now no longer a ground for winding up petition. Okay, so earlier a petition, winding up petition could have been filed at the High Court if the company was not able to pay its debts, but now the Companies Act is very clear that inability to pay the debts, this particular provision is deleted. Now if the company is not able to pay its debts, then the only way is one is IBC if you are a financial creditor or you are an operational creditor, or let's say the corporate debtor itself. One is the IBC, and the second scenario could be, let's say if you are a bank or a financial institution, then you have SARFAESI where you can do the recovery, and which is again followed by the DRT. So this is one of the question which is, I think, again important. It was asked for 5 marks, okay, in the old syllabus. I don't remember, but it was some recent attempt, 2018 or 2019, they had asked this particular question, can be repeated again. Then what are the grounds on which the company can be wound up? So one is when the company has passed the special resolution and have resolved that the company should be wound up. Second is if the company has acted against the interest of the sovereignty and integrity of the India or security of the state. Then let's say the application is made by the registrar or any person who is authorized by the central government to the tribunal, and they are of the opinion that the affairs of the company have been conducted in a fraudulent manner, or let's say the company was formed for a fraudulent purpose or for an unlawful purpose. Then in that case, or let's say the persons who were involved in the formation of the company, they are now guilty of the fraud, and it is proper, just and proper that the company should be wound up. Then in that case the application will be or the petition will be made to the tribunal and the company could be wound up. Then let's say the company has defaulted in filing to the registrar its financial statements or the annual return for the immediately preceding 5 consecutive financial years. Then again the winding up petition can be filed. Just remember, if the company defaults for 2 consecutive years, then it is made a dormant company, and 5 consecutive years ROC gets the right to basically file the petition to the NCLT that this particular company should be wound up. And last is if it is just an equitable, then in that case the company can be wound up. If as per tribunal it is just an equitable, the company can be wound up. Understand that if the company is unable to pay the debts, this particular provision is now deleted, okay, so from the Companies Act. So this is there. So if you are asked a question, what are the grounds on which the company can be wound up, so these are the same 5 points that we just discussed here, right? So if you get this question, what are the circumstances under which the company can be wound up, I would highly recommend that please write these 5 points, but apart from that, do mention that inability to pay the debts is now no longer a part of the reason why which a company can be wound up. So this would leave a good impression on the examiner that you have studied the provisions well, and it's not just the copy paste that work you are doing, right? So just improves the presentation and the overall gravity of your answer. Then this is again another one important question which I feel is important for both old as well as the new syllabus students. That's the winding up rules 2020. This came last year and it came in force from 1st April 2020. So just like how you have the merger, section 232 merger, and you have section 233 merger. So what is the difference between the two? So here it is the merger by NCLT route and this is by the CG route. Now this is not applicable for all companies, this is applicable for certain class of companies, okay, and this is basically applicable for all. So same thing goes here, that the winding up rules have come up with something called as a summary procedure of liquidation. So instead of certain class of companies going to the tribunal, okay, and filing the petition for winding up, what they can do is basically they can just file the application to the central government without going to the NCLT. So summary procedure is basically a shorter version, okay, it's like the name itself suggests, it's the summary procedure. So most probably they are going to ask you that uh, just like a question that can be asked for section 233, that certain class of companies have there is a ease in their merger or they need not go to the tribunal. Similarly, you may get a question that certain class of companies may need not go to the tribunal for winding up and the relaxations have been provided. So what they are basically asking about is the summary procedure. So in this case, the companies can file the winding up application. Don't use the word petition. Petition is to the tribunal and to the court. Central government, it is going to be the application, right? And without going to the NCLT, they can do the winding up of the company. But which class of companies? So companies which have deposits up to 25 lakhs, or companies which have total outstanding loan, including the secured loan up to 50 lakhs, turnover up to 50 crore, and the paid up capital up to 1 crore. Okay, so if these limits are breached, then summary procedure is not there. Otherwise, this summary procedure can be utilized. In addition, they have also said that if the company has a book value of assets up to rupees 1 lakh, then in that case 1 crore, then in that case even they can approach to the central government for the liquidation. So summary procedure is one amendment, not particularly for your attempt, okay, this was there for June attempt also, but yes, since it came in April 1st 2020, so technically it was not applicable for the previous attempt, but this is definitely applicable for your attempt, and I feel that this is little important, right? So just do this particular attempt, and December 2021, I'm sure that you may get one question with respect to the summary procedure. So in winding up, just do these questions. I feel there is no other thing that can be asked in the exam from the winding up, right? So at this point of time, one day before the exam, just focus on this particular lecture.